The Pacific swells stretched endlessly below Captain Megan Carter's A-10 Warthog as she skimmed 50 feet above the waves. Behind her, 3 stealth fighters had already fallen to the impenetrable SAM network ahead. The enemy commander had broadcast his arrogance worldwide: American air power is finished. But Carter wasn't flying cutting-edge stealth technology, she was piloting 40 tons of armored fury with a cannon that could punch through tank armor. Sometimes, the old ways were the best ways. This morning would prove it. Before we dive into how Captain Carter found herself in this impossible situation, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below. The briefing room aboard the USS Nimitz smelled like coffee and stale air. Captain Megan Carter sat in the back row, watching satellite images flicker across the main screen. Kestrel Island looked like a porcupine from above, bristling with radar dishes and missile launchers. Colonel Harrison clicked his laser pointer at the screen. "Gentlemen, this is what we're up against." Carter counted 6 SA-20 launch sites. Each one could reach out 40 miles and swat aircraft from the sky like flies. The colonel's voice carried the weight of bad news. 3 days ago, Lieutenant Commander Walsh took his F-35 in for reconnaissance. Shot down 12 miles out. Click. A new image showed debris floating on blue water. Yesterday, Major Rodriguez tried a different approach. Same result. The room stayed quiet. Carter had flown with both pilots. Good men. Fast jets, smart weapons, cutting-edge stealth. None of it mattered against those missiles. This morning, Captain Jenkins volunteered for a dawn run. His lightning lasted exactly 4 minutes. Carter's jaw tightened. 3 pilots. 3 of the most advanced fighters in the world. All dead because some enemy general wanted to prove a point. The colonel switched to a new slide. A man in a crisp uniform stood behind a podium, speaking to cameras. General Viktor Kozlov looked pleased with himself. This was broadcast an hour ago on international news. Kozlov's voice filled the room through the speakers. His English was perfect, accent thick but clear. The American military clings to outdated tactics. They send their pilots to die in obsolete machines. My defensive network is impenetrable. No aircraft can penetrate the Iron Dome over Kestrel Island. Carter felt heat rise in her chest. The general smiled at the camera like he was selling insurance. American air superiority is finished. The age of the fighter pilot is over. Someone in the front row muttered a curse. Carter stayed silent, but her fingers drummed against her knee. Colonel Harrison turned off the video. Intelligence says Kozlov has overlapping radar coverage from sea level to 60,000 feet. Computer models show a 97% kill probability for any aircraft entering his engagement zone. Commander Phillips raised his hand. What about cruise missiles? Electronic countermeasures defeat them at the perimeter. The island's got jammers, decoys, the works. Kozlov's people know their business. Carter studied the satellite photos. The island stretched 3 miles long, maybe half that wide. Rocky cliffs on the north side, gentler slopes facing south. The SAM sites formed a perfect defensive ring. "Sir," she said, standing up. "I'd like to volunteer for the next mission." The room turned to look at her. Some faces showed surprise. Others showed something close to pity. Colonel Harrison shook his head. "Carter, I know your reputation. Hell, everyone here knows what you did over Serbia. But this isn't 1999. Those SA-20s aren't museum pieces." "No sir, they're not." "Then you understand why I can't authorize another suicide run." Carter walked toward the front of the room. Her boots clicked against the metal deck. She stopped in front of the screen showing Kestrel Island. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" Harrison nodded. Those F-35s tried to fight the SAMs on their terms. High altitude, long range, stealth technology. They played by Kozlov's rules. She pointed at the southern approach to the island. "But what if we don't?" "Explain." The SA-20 system is designed to engage targets above 500 feet. Below that, radar gets cluttered by sea return. Waves, spray, surface interference. Major Santos leaned forward. You're talking about wave top level. In combat conditions. Yes, sir. That's insane. One engine hiccup, one wind gust, and you're swimming. Carter shrugged. Better than getting shot down at 20,000 feet. Colonel Harrison studied her face. Even if you could get close, those sites have point defense systems. Gatling guns, short-range missiles. They'll chew up anything that gets within range. Not everything, sir. She pulled out her phone and showed a photo. Her A-10 Thunderbolt sat on the carrier deck, ugly and functional. Armor plating covered vital systems. The massive nose cannon looked like it belonged on a battleship. The Warthog was built to survive ground fire. 30mm cannon, titanium bathtub around the cockpit, redundant flight controls. Commander Phillips laughed. Carter, that thing's older than some of these pilots. Yes, sir. It's also tougher than anything else we've got. Harrison walked to the window overlooking the flight deck. Carter's A-10 sat between two F-18s like a pit bull surrounded by greyhounds. The Pentagon wants us to wait for the new stealth bombers. 6 months, maybe 8. Sir, how many more pilots will Kozlov kill while we wait? The colonel turned back to face the room. His eyes found Carter's. You really think that antique can do what 3 Lightning fighters couldn't? Carter looked at Kozlov's frozen image on the screen. The general's smug smile made her want to punch something. Sir, I think that antique is exactly what we need. Sometimes you don't need to be invisible. Sometimes you just need to be unstoppable. Harrison stared at the satellite photos for a long moment. The room held its breath. All right, Carter. Let's hear your plan. The secure video link crackled to life in the Admiral's cabin. Carter found herself staring at a conference table in the Pentagon, surrounded by men in dress uniforms who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Admiral Thompson's voice came through the speakers first. Captain Carter, I've read your preliminary report. With respect, this sounds like a recipe for disaster. Carter stood at attention beside Colonel Harrison's chair. The small screen showed 5 flag officers, each looking more skeptical than the last. Sir, the approach vector uses natural terrain masking. The ocean surface creates radar clutter below 200 feet. The SA-20 systems can't maintain lock. General Morrison leaned forward. Captain, those are the most advanced surface-to-air missiles in the world. They've adapted to counter every stealth technology we possess. Yes, sir. But they haven't adapted to counter something flying 50 feet off the water at 300 knots. Because no sane pilot would attempt such a thing. Carter kept her expression neutral. No, sir. Because no other aircraft can survive what comes next. Admiral Thompson shuffled papers on his desk. Let's discuss your proposed platform. The A-10 Thunderbolt entered service in 1976. That makes it nearly 50 years old. The B-52 is older, sir. We still fly those. The B-52 doesn't get shot at by modern air defense systems. Carter stepped closer to the screen. Sir, with respect, age isn't the issue here. The Warthog was designed for a specific mission. Close air support in a high-threat environment. Against Soviet armor, Captain. Not against integrated air defense networks. The principles are the same, sir. Get low, get close, hit hard, survive the counterattack. General Morrison pulled out a tablet. I'm looking at the technical specifications. Maximum speed 420 knots. Service ceiling 45,000 feet. Those are Vietnam War numbers, Captain. Speed isn't everything, sir. It is when missiles are chasing you. Carter turned to Harrison, who nodded permission to continue. General, the GAU-8 cannon fires 30mm depleted uranium rounds. 4,000 rounds per minute. Each round can penetrate tank armor at 2,000 meters. And how does that help against a SAM site? Radar dishes are made of aluminum and fiberglass, sir. Command bunkers are reinforced concrete. The cannon will go through both like tissue paper. Admiral Thompson looked unconvinced. Assuming you can get close enough to use it. Those SA-20s have a range of 40 nautical miles. Which is why I won't be flying where they expect me to fly. Carter moved to the digital map display on the cabin wall. Her finger traced a route along the ocean surface, approaching Kestrel Island from the southwest. The radar horizon at sea level is roughly 12 miles. If I stay below 50 feet, they can't see me until I'm practically on top of them. General Morrison shook his head. And when you pull up to attack, you'll be completely exposed. For approximately 30 seconds, sir. That's all I need. 30 seconds is 29 seconds too long. Carter's voice stayed level. Sir, the A-10 has triple redundant flight control systems. Manual reversion capability. The cockpit sits in a titanium bathtub that can stop 23mm rounds. The engines are mounted high and separated to survive ground fire. All of which means nothing against a modern SAM. It means I can complete the mission even if they hit me. The Pentagon conference room fell quiet. Carter could hear the carrier's air conditioning humming through the bulkheads. Admiral Thompson finally spoke. Captain, 3 of our best pilots have died attempting this mission. They were flying the most advanced aircraft in our inventory. Yes, sir. And you think a 40-year-old attack plane can succeed where they failed? Carter looked directly into the camera. Sir, I think sometimes the old ways work better than the new ways. General Morrison set down his tablet. Captain, this isn't World War II. We can't win by throwing more metal at the problem. I'm not asking to throw more metal, sir. I'm asking to throw the right metal. Which is 700 pounds of cannon and 1,100 rounds of ammunition. Colonel Harrison leaned forward. Gentlemen, Captain Carter has the lowest loss rate of any pilot in her squadron. She's completed 47 combat missions without losing a single wingman. This isn't about her record, Colonel. It's about physics. Modern air defense systems are designed to kill aircraft. All aircraft. Carter straightened. Sir, they're designed to kill aircraft that play by the rules. Fast, high, sophisticated. The Warthog doesn't play by those rules. Admiral Thompson rubbed his forehead. Captain, if this goes wrong, we lose another pilot and gain nothing. If we do nothing, sir, Kozlov keeps broadcasting his victory to the world. Our allies start questioning our capabilities. Our enemies start copying his tactics. And if you get shot down, then at least we'll have tried something different. The screen flickered as someone adjusted a camera in the Pentagon. Carter could see staff officers whispering behind the flag officers. General Morrison looked tired. Captain, assuming we authorize this mission, what do you need? Fuel, ammunition, and a maintenance crew that knows the Warthog inside and out. And if the weather turns bad? Sir, the A-10 flies in weather that grounds everything else. Admiral Thompson closed his folder. We'll need to discuss this further. Stand by for orders. The screen went black. Colonel Harrison turned to Carter. You know they think you're crazy. Carter walked to the porthole and looked out at the flight deck. Her A-10 sat between 2 sleek fighters, solid and unglamorous. Maybe crazy is what we need right now, sir. Maybe it is. Harrison stood up. Go prep your aircraft, Captain. Something tells me you're going to get your chance. Carter's boots echoed across the carrier deck in the pre-dawn darkness. The Warthog sat under work lights, its stubby wings loaded with extra fuel tanks. Chief Petty Officer Martinez looked up from the nose cannon, wiping grease from his hands. She's ready, Captain. 1,100 rounds of 30mm. Full fuel load. I've checked every system twice. Carter ran her hand along the aircraft's armored flank. The metal felt cold and solid under her palm. What about the backup flight controls? Triple checked. Manual reversion is good to go. This bird will fly home even if everything else fails. Carter climbed the ladder to the cockpit. The seat wrapped around her like an old jacket. She'd flown this particular Warthog for 3 years. Every switch, every gauge, every sound the engines made. It felt like coming home. Tower, Hog 1 requesting permission to taxi. Hog 1, cleared to taxi. Wind 040 at 15 knots. Good hunting, Captain. The twin turbofans spun up with their familiar whine. Carter rolled toward the catapult, checking instruments out of habit. Oil pressure good. Hydraulics normal. Cannon system armed and ready. Lieutenant Commander Stevens' voice crackled through her headset. Hog 1, Snake Flight is standing by to provide cover if needed. Carter keyed her radio. Negative, Snake Flight. This one's solo. Captain, we've got 4 F-18s loaded for bear. We can be there in 20 minutes. Appreciated, but no. Fast movers will just draw attention. I need to be invisible until I'm not. She taxied onto the catapult. The deck crew attached the launch bar with practiced efficiency. Steam rose from the catapult track in the morning air. Hog 1, ready for launch? Carter pushed the throttles forward. The engines wound up to full power, held back only by the catapult. The whole aircraft vibrated like a caged animal. Ready. Launch the Hog. The catapult fired. 2.5 seconds later, Carter was airborne, climbing away from the carrier at 200 knots. She banked left and descended toward the ocean surface. At 50 feet above the waves, she leveled off. The water rushed past in a blue-gray blur. Spray from the swells occasionally spattered her canopy. The altimeter needle sat rock steady on 50 feet. Nimitz, Hog 1 is feet wet and on profile. Copy, Hog 1. Godspeed. Carter settled into the rhythm of low-level flight. The Warthog rode the air currents like a freight train on rails. Steady. Predictable. Built for exactly this kind of work. 20 miles out, she checked her navigation system. The GPS showed a straight line to Kestrel Island. 43 minutes at current speed. She'd arrived just as the sun cleared the horizon. Her radio crackled with distant chatter. Other flights launching from the carrier. Combat Air Patrol taking station. Everyone staying well clear of her route. Hog 1, Rattler flight. We're monitoring guard frequency if you need us. Carter recognized Captain Morrison's voice. Good pilot. Solid wingman. Thanks, Rattler. Maintain current position unless you hear otherwise. Roger that. Give them hell, Captain. Carter adjusted her heading by 2 degrees. The morning sun climbed slowly above the horizon, turning the ocean surface gold. Beautiful morning for flying. Beautiful morning for war. 30 miles out, she started picking up electronic signals on her threat display. Faint at first, then stronger. Search radars sweeping across the water. The SA-20 sights were looking for her, but their beams passed harmlessly overhead. Come on, she whispered to her instruments. Stay low. Stay quiet. The threat display showed 3 distinct radar signatures now. The main search radar swept in a steady pattern. 2 tracking radars searched in shorter arcs. All of them looking in the wrong place. 20 miles out, Kestrel Island appeared on the horizon. A dark smudge against the morning sky. Carter could make out the rocky cliffs on the northern shore. The gentler slopes to the south where she planned to make her run. Her heart rate picked up slightly. Not fear. Focus. The same feeling she got before every difficult mission. Time slowed down. Details became sharp. This was what she'd trained for. 15 miles. The radar signals grew stronger. Her threat display lit up with warning tones. She reached over and turned off the audio. No point listening to alarms about threats she already knew about. 10 miles. She could see individual buildings on the island now. Concrete bunkers. Radar dishes turning slowly on their mounts. The long white trails of SAM launchers pointing at the sky. HOG-1, Nimitz. We're showing multiple radar contacts in your area. Roger, Nimitz. They're looking but not seeing. Copy that. Your signal is intermittent on our scopes too. Carter smiled. Flying this low, even friendly radars had trouble tracking her. The ocean surface created too much interference. Electronic noise that hid her approach. 5 miles. Time to earn her pay. She could see the southern approach clearly now. A gentle slope leading up from the beach to the main compound. 3 SAM sites formed a triangle around the island's center. Radar dishes, command bunkers, launcher units. Everything Kozlov needed to control the sky. The threat display went crazy as multiple radars tried to lock onto her. Warning tones filled the cockpit. Carter reached for the master arm switch. Nimitz, HOG-1. Beginning attack run. Copy, HOG-1. We'll be listening. Carter pulled back on the stick. The Warthog climbed toward the waiting missiles like an angry wasp heading for a hornet's nest. Time to see if 40 years of engineering could beat 40 miles of technology. The first SAM launched when Carter was 3 miles out. She saw the flash before the smoke trail. A white finger of fire rising from the northern launch site, accelerating toward empty sky 500 feet above her head. They're shooting blind, she said into her radio. Still can't see me down here. The SA-20 missile streaked overhead and detonated uselessly in the morning air. Fragments rained down into the ocean behind her. Carter held her altitude at 40 feet. Waves rolled beneath her landing gear. Salt spray clouded her canopy for a second before the airstream cleared it away. 2 miles. The southern SAM site came into focus through her targeting system. She could see individual soldiers running between the launchers. Tiny figures scrambling to track a target their radars couldn't hold. Another missile launched from the eastern site. This one came closer, passing just over her vertical stabilizer. The blast wave shook her aircraft but caused no damage. Nimitz, HOG-1. Taking defensive fire but still on target. Copy, HOG-1. Good hunting. 1 mile. Carter could see the main radar dish rotating frantically. The operators inside the command bunker knew something was coming but couldn't figure out from where. She pulled the Warthog into a shallow climb. 50 feet. 60. 80. The altitude that would put her cannon in range. Warning lights exploded across her instrument panel. 3 radars locked onto her simultaneously. The threat display screamed electronic warnings into her headset. There you are, she whispered. A SAM launched from directly ahead. The missile streaked toward her at Mach 3, its seeker head finally able to track her heat signature. Carter yanked the stick hard left. The Warthog rolled like a falling brick. G-forces pressed her into her seat as she dove back toward the water. The missile flashed past her right wing and slammed into the ocean. A column of water erupted 50 yards away. Half a mile. Carter pulled up again, more gently this time. The southern SAM site filled her targeting display. Concrete bunkers. Radar arrays. Launch rails loaded with missiles. She placed the targeting reticle on the main radar dish and pressed the trigger. The GAU-8 cannon erupted to life. 7 barrels spun at 4,000 revolutions per minute. Each 30mm round left the muzzle at 3,400 feet per second. The sound was like the world's largest zipper being torn open. Bart. The first burst lasted 2 seconds. 60 rounds of depleted uranium struck the radar installation. The dish disintegrated in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. The support tower collapsed sideways into the command bunker. Carter walked her fire across the launcher rails. The cannon rounds punched through steel and concrete like paper. Missiles exploded in their tubes, sending orange fireballs climbing into the sky. Bart. A second burst took out the power generators. The electrical substation vanished in a cascade of sparks and flying debris. Emergency lights flickered and died across the compound. Target 1 destroyed, she radioed. Moving to Target 2. Carter banked hard right, turning toward the eastern SAM site. Another missile rose to meet her, but without radar guidance it flew wild and exploded harmlessly against the cliff tops. The eastern site had gone into emergency mode. Soldiers poured out of bunkers, manning optical tracking systems and shoulder-fired missiles. Small arms fire sparkled from defensive positions. Carter ignored the ground fire and lined up her next attack. The GAU-8's ammunition counter showed 900 rounds remaining. Bart. Her third burst walked across the eastern site's command center. The reinforced concrete walls cracked and collapsed under the impact of uranium penetrators. Secondary explosions rippled through the missile storage areas. Small arms bullets pinged off her aircraft's armored skin. A lucky shot starred her right side window, but the transparent aluminum held. Nimitz, 2 sights down, 1 to go. Outstanding, Hog 1. Northern sight is launching everything they've got. Carter could see 4 smoke trails rising from the northern SAM complex. The last sight was throwing every missile it had at her. She dove toward the ocean, using her speed to complicate their targeting solutions. The missiles followed, but their proximity fuses triggered too early. The blast shook her aircraft without causing damage. Time to finish this. Carter climbed toward the northern site, her cannon trained on the largest radar array. This installation was newer than the others. Bigger dishes, heavier bunkers, more missiles. Bart. Her fourth burst destroyed the main tracking radar. The dish folded in half and toppled off its mount, crushing a nearby launcher. Ground fire intensified. Tracers streaked past her canopy like deadly fireflies. Something hit her left engine with a metallic clang. The turbine kept spinning, but oil pressure dropped 10%. Bart. Her fifth burst silenced the air defense guns. The twin-barrel installations vanished in clouds of smoke and flying metal. Carter pulled up into a climbing turn, surveying her work. All 3 SAM sites were burning. Smoke columns rose into the morning sky like funeral pyres. Secondary explosions continued as ammunition stores cooked off in the fires. Nimitz, Hog 1. Mission complete. All targets destroyed. Copy that, Hog 1. Outstanding work. RTB when ready. Carter turned southeast toward the carrier. Her left engine was running rough now, and she could see fluid streaming from somewhere under the wing. Nothing immediately dangerous, but worth watching. Her radio crackled with excited chatter from other aircraft. Did you see that cannon run? She took out the whole complex in under 5 minutes. Reminded me of my grandfather's war stories. Carter keyed her microphone. All stations, Hog 1. If anyone's got a message for General Kozlov, tell him his dome is holes. Courtesy of a flying tank. Laughter filled the radio frequency. Even the serious Navy controllers were chuckling. Hog 1, Nimitz. The Admiral wants to know if you'd like to deliver that message personally. Carter looked at her fuel gauge. Still enough for another hour of flight time. Her damaged engine was holding steady. Nimitz, patch me through to the international news frequency. Say again, Hog 1? I think the General needs to hear this directly. A new voice came through her headset. Professional. Broadcast quality. This is World News Network. Captain Carter, we're live in 3, 2, 1. Carter keyed her radio and spoke clearly into the microphone. General Kozlov, this is Captain Megan Carter, United States Air Force. Your impenetrable defense network is now a smoking hole in the ground. American air power isn't finished. It just needed the right aircraft for the job. She paused, watching smoke rise from the burning island. Maybe next time you'll remember that old doesn't mean obsolete. Carter banked left around Kestrel Island, surveying the wreckage below. 3 black smoke columns rose from where the SAM sites had been. Twisted metal and concrete rubble marked each installation. She'd done her job with surgical precision. Her left engine sputtered. Oil pressure dropped another 5%. The Warthog could fly on one engine if necessary, but she preferred not to test that capability over open ocean. Nimitz, Hog 1. I've got mechanical issues. Requesting straight-in recovery. Copy, Hog 1. Priority handling approved. How's your aircraft? She's hurt but flying. Left engine took a hit. Oil pressure declining. Carter turned southeast toward the carrier. The damaged turbine ran rough but kept producing thrust. Typical Warthog toughness. Built to absorb punishment and keep fighting. Her headset crackled with voices from the electronic warfare aircraft orbiting nearby. Hog 1, Raven 2-1. We're intercepting some very interesting radio traffic from the island. You want to hear what your friend the general is saying? Put it through. Static filled her ears, then voices speaking rapid Russian. The translation came through a second channel. General Kozlov, sir, all 3 defensive positions have been destroyed. Complete systems failure across the network. Kozlov's voice came through clearly, speaking English to his staff. How many aircraft did they use? 1, sir. Single A-10 attack aircraft. Long silence on the channel. 1 airplane? Yes, sir. American pilot came in below our radar coverage. We couldn't maintain tracking lock at that altitude. Carter smiled. Sometimes old tactics worked better than new technology. What's our casualty count? Kozlov asked. Minimal, sir. 12 injured, no fatalities. The pilot targeted equipment, not personnel bunkers. Carter had been careful about that. Destroy the machines, spare the people. Professional soldiers deserve that courtesy. The radio went quiet for several minutes. When Kozlov spoke again, his voice carried a different tone. Resignation mixed with something that might have been respect. Get me international communications. I need to make a statement. Sir, perhaps we should coordinate with. Now, Major. The world is watching. They deserve to hear this from me. Carter checked her engine instruments. Oil pressure holding steady at 35%. Temperature climbing but still within acceptable limits. 20 minutes to the carrier. Her radio came alive with congratulations from other pilots. Outstanding work, Hog 1. That cannon run was textbook perfect. Nice flying, Captain. Showed them what the Warthog can do. Hell of a thing, taking out 3 SAM sites solo. Carter keyed her microphone. Just doing what she was built for. The A-10 has always been good at breaking things. Colonel Harrison's voice cut through the chatter. Hog 1, Pentagon is requesting immediate debrief. They want every detail of your attack profile. Roger, Control. Tell them it's simple. Fly low, shoot straight, don't get hit. They're particularly interested in your ammunition usage. How many rounds expended? Carter glanced at her cannon counter. Approximately 400 rounds, sir. About a third of my loadout. 400 rounds for 3 hardened installations? Affirmative. When you put the rounds where they need to go, you don't waste as much. The intercept channel crackled again. Kozlov was speaking to international media now. This is General Viktor Kozlov speaking from Kestrel Island. I am addressing the global community regarding this morning's events. His English was crisp, but Carter detected weariness underneath. My defensive installations have been neutralized by American forces. The attack was executed by a single pilot flying an A-10 Thunderbolt aircraft. A reporter's voice came through. General, can you confirm this aircraft first flew in 1976? Kozlov paused. Carter could almost see him choosing his words carefully. The American pilot demonstrated that age and sophistication are not always equivalent. I made incorrect assumptions about obsolete versus effective. Are you surrendering your position? I am requesting immediate ceasefire negotiations. Further resistance serves no tactical purpose. Carter felt grudging respect for the enemy commander. It took courage to admit defeat publicly, especially when beaten by something you'd called outdated. Her damaged engine missed a beat, then resumed running. The carrier appeared as a gray speck on the horizon, growing steadily larger. Hog 1, Nimitz Control. We're receiving surrender offers through diplomatic channels. Admiral Thompson wants your assessment of the situation. Carter looked back at the smoking island. Sir, General Kozlov is a professional soldier. He knows when a position becomes untenable. I'd recommend treating him with the respect we'd expect in his position. Copy that. Professional courtesy. Yes, sir. The radio crackled with another intercept. Kozlov speaking to someone off-channel. Major, connect me to the American pilot on guard frequency. Sir, are you certain? Do it. Carter's headset came alive with Kozlov's voice, speaking directly to her. American pilot, this is General Kozlov. Are you monitoring guard frequency? Carter keyed her microphone. General, this is Captain Carter. I'm listening. Captain, I wish to acknowledge superior tactics and execution. Your approach was unexpected. Thank you, sir. Your defensive network was well designed. Just happened to have a gap at wavetop level. Indeed. Perhaps I focused too much on countering high-technology solutions. Sometimes the simple approach works best, General. Kozlov chuckled, a sound that carried clearly through the radio static. My grandfather would have understood your tactics better than I did. He fought in Stalingrad with obsolete equipment against superior technology. Equipment is only as good as the people using it, sir. Precisely, Captain. You have taught me that experience matters more than I believed. The carrier grew larger in Carter's windscreen. She could see deck crews preparing for her landing. General, if circumstances were different, I think we'd have interesting conversations about military history. Perhaps we shall, Captain. Under better circumstances. Perhaps we will, sir. Until then, I salute a worthy adversary. Kozlov out. Carter lined up for her approach to the carrier. Her damaged engine was holding together, but she could smell burning oil through the ventilation system. Nimitz, Hog 1. 5 miles out, declaring emergency for precautionary landing. Roger, Hog 1. Deck is clear, all equipment standing by. Time to bring the old bird home. The USS Nimitz deck rushed up to meet Carter's damaged Warthog. Her left engine was running on fumes and willpower. Oil streaked back along the wing, leaving a dark trail in the morning air. Hog 1, you're lined up perfectly. Call the ball. Carter could see the optical landing system glowing bright orange on the carrier's stern. 3 miles out, descending through 800 feet. Roger, ball. Warthog, low fuel, emergency approach. Copy emergency approach. Looking good, bring her home. The damaged engine coughed twice but kept producing power. Carter held her approach angle steady, trusting 40 years of engineering to get her the last few miles. 2 miles out, she caught the first arresting wire in her sight picture. The massive steel cable stretched across the deck, waiting to snatch her aircraft from the sky. Nimitz, requesting barrier engagement if the hook misses the wire. Negative, Hog 1. Your approach looks solid. Trust your training. 1 mile. The carrier deck filled her windscreen. She could see the landing signal officer holding his paddle, guiding her down the invisible glide slope. The Warthog's hook caught the number 3 wire perfectly. 70,000 pounds of aircraft went from 150 knots to 0 in 3 seconds. Carter slammed forward against her restraints as the arresting gear dragged her to a stop. Welcome home, Hog 1. Carter shut down her engines and popped the canopy. Salt air flooded the cockpit, carrying the familiar sounds of carrier operations. Deck crews swarmed around her aircraft, chocking wheels and checking for damage. Chief Martinez appeared at her ladder. How's she feel, Captain? Carter climbed down from the cockpit, her legs unsteady after 3 hours of combat flying. She brought me home, Chief. That's all I asked. Martinez ran his hand along the bullet holes in the left wing. Took some hits but nothing vital. This old bird is tougher than a $2 steak. Colonel Harrison walked across the deck, followed by a group of officers Carter didn't recognize. Pentagon brass, judging by their serious expressions and pristine uniforms. Captain Carter, outstanding work. The Admiral wants to debrief you immediately. Carter pulled off her helmet. Her hair was soaked with sweat, and she could smell gunpowder residue on her flight suit. Yes, sir. Give me 5 minutes to clean up. Actually, Captain, they want to hear from you exactly as you are. While the mission is fresh in your mind. 20 minutes later, Carter sat in the Admiral's conference room, facing the same Pentagon officials who had questioned her plan 2 days earlier. Their expressions had changed considerably. Admiral Thompson leaned forward in his chair. Captain, your mission has created quite a stir in Washington. The Joint Chiefs want a complete tactical analysis. Sir, it wasn't complicated. The Warthog got low, got close, and did what it was designed to do. General Morrison pulled out a tablet. Captain, your ammunition expenditure was remarkably efficient. 400 rounds to neutralize 3 hardened targets. The GAU-8 cannon is accurate, sir. When you can see what you're shooting at, you don't waste rounds. And the low-altitude approach? That was your idea? Carter nodded. The SA-20 system is optimized for high-altitude threats. Flying below the radar horizon negated their technological advantage. Admiral Thompson made notes on his pad. The enemy commander's surrender came within hours of your attack. His public statements have been illuminating. General Kozlov is a professional, sir. He recognized when his position became untenable. He specifically mentioned that he underestimated obsolete aircraft. His exact words were, "Age does not equal ineffectiveness." Carter allowed herself a small smile. Sometimes old solutions work better than new problems, sir. General Morrison set down his tablet. Captain, there's been considerable discussion about the A-10's future in the Air Force inventory. Some people have argued that close air support aircraft are obsolete in modern warfare. With respect, sir, today's mission suggests otherwise. Indeed it does. Your tactics are being studied at the War College. The low-altitude, high-precision attack profile may become standard doctrine. Admiral Thompson stood up and walked to the porthole overlooking the flight deck. Carter's Warthog sat between 2 F-35s, battle-damaged but victorious. Captain, the President has been briefed on your mission. He asked me to convey his personal congratulations. Thank you, sir. He also asked me to give you this. The Admiral handed Carter a small wooden box. Inside, nestled in blue velvet, was a distinguished flying cross. For conspicuous gallantry and extraordinary achievement in aerial combat. By using innovative tactics and exceptional flying skill, you neutralized a critical enemy installation and proved the enduring value of American air power. Carter held the medal carefully. It felt heavier than it looked. Sir, I was just doing my job. Sometimes doing your job changes history, Captain. The secure phone on the conference table buzzed. Admiral Thompson answered it, listened for a moment, then hung up. Gentlemen, that was the Pentagon. General Kozlov has formally surrendered Kestrel Island. Peacekeeping forces are moving in to secure the facility. Carter felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Mission accomplished. No more pilots would die trying to crack that defensive network. There's something else, the Admiral continued. The Air Force has canceled the A-10 retirement program. Your mission demonstrated that the Warthog still has a vital role in modern combat. General Morrison nodded approvingly. 300 aircraft were scheduled for retirement. Now they're getting upgraded avionics and extended service life. Carter thought about all the pilots who would fly those Warthogs in the years to come. Young aviators who would learn that sometimes the old ways were still the best ways. Sir, the A-10 community will be glad to hear that. I imagine they will be, Captain. Admiral Thompson returned to his seat. Captain, you've proven that experience and determination can overcome technological superiority. That's a lesson the entire military needs to remember. Yes, sir. Equipment is important, but it's the pilot that makes the difference. Exactly. Now, we need to document your tactics for training purposes. Other pilots need to learn what you accomplished today. Carter nodded. I'll write a complete mission report, sir. Every detail. Good. And Captain? Sir? Next time someone tells you that old aircraft are obsolete, remind them about today. Carter stood up and saluted. I will, sir. As she walked back to her quarters, Carter passed the flight deck where Chief Martinez was supervising repairs on her Warthog. The bullet holes were being patched, the damaged engine was being replaced, and the cannon was being reloaded. Getting ready for the next mission. Carter paused and ran her hand along the aircraft's nose. 47 years old and still the most effective close air support platform in the world. Good girl, she whispered. Ready to do it again? The Warthog sat silent on the deck, but Carter could swear she heard the engine rumble in response. If you enjoyed Captain Carter's incredible mission, please hit that like button and subscribe for more military aviation stories.